You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot
hand up.
Box.
I was wrong. We were wrong about this one. Our boy Benois Saint Denis comes up short against Dustin Poirier. Had Dustin Poirier on the brink of death. I will say that the pace, the absolute chaos that he was creating. He had Dustin. He was a little too. And we talked about this. But going into the fight. Too many extended striking exchanges up along the fence that I think really kind of added up as the fight went on. And when he was going for the takedowns, he was getting them. Dustin, as opposed to actually trying to fight the takedowns, was just jumping guillotine the entire time, which it was dumb. But of course, it works out for him. I think Dustin. I honestly think we're right. Dustin looked like he was in incredible shape. By the way, I don't.
Yeah.
I was not expecting him to have a 15-pack when he walked in there, but he did, and he waited the storm though, man. He did. He did a great job. I think the staff obviously was more of a factor than we would have liked to have believed, or that I was hoping to believe. I was hoping that it wasn't. I should have just kind of maybe stayed away from this, knowing that was a thing, and he did have a huge mark on his forehead, which looked better when he was walking into the octagon. But the man was taking antibiotics, and many fighters have told us how that fucks them up. But I don't think that's really an excuse for kind of leaving your chin out there and just kind of fighting recklessly towards the end. Maybe he was tired, maybe he wasn't. But at the end of the day, Dustin the Diamond Poirier got it done, man. You can't take that away from him. He is an absolute dog. He is not easy to get out of there. And he found a way, and he knocked Benois Saint Denis out, something that me and you would have never thought was really going to be the case in this fight. And he knocked him out and finished him with that fucking thundrous bomb on the ground, bounced his head right off the canvas.
Yeah, that might not even been necessary.
No, it definitely wasn't. But hey, I'd do the same thing. I would do the same
the
thing
referee was just chilling there. He didn't want to do anything, but I believe that referee was Mike Beltran also, maybe he just doesn't like French people. Yeah, maybe he just doesn't like French people. But yeah, first round looked good, man. Benoit was doing his things, some leg kicks. He was going to the body really well, going to the head, everything. And it just doing well in the clinch even, and then it just crashed and burned. He hit that right hand, and I was surprised that put him out that bad. Just that, not that it was like that Dustin doesn't have power or anything. It was just like a check hook, But he was gassed. The staff, whatever it did to him, it did a lot. And if only we would have just been like, oh, staph infection, possibly. We don't know yet. Maybe it's confirmed, maybe it's not. Let's just bet against him just because of that.
Yeah.
And
I think it's going to be the way I'm thinking now.
If anybody has anything on their body, we're betting against you.
Yeah, because it goes to show you it's a serious deal. And I would pull out of a fight if I were in those guys' situations, because it's very rare you see a guy overcome the staff and have a good performance or take care of business. And Mukayev was just taking pictures of his dumps in the toilet and stuff like that. So I'll never let him live that down. That was insane.
Yeah, that was wild.
This is what I did at 7 a.m. Okay, man. I could tell. I'm gonna take a picture of what I'm gonna do after this podcast, and then you're gonna be like, "Wow, man, this guy is pretty impressive." But now, listen. I don't think this is the end for Benoit. I saw a lot of people like fraud check, all this kind of stuff. I think that, and I saw some people tweeting it, and I think it's true. I think that term is well overused, and I just don't like it. I think a lot of the discourse in MMA, and I think in sports in general, is from like 15-year-old kids with these like fake like picture accounts that have like Cheeto Vera as their picture, and they're saying fraud check, and they don't have any thoughts in their head other than to kind of troll and do stuff like that. And I think people give that too much airtime, to be honest. And I probably shouldn't even talk about them. But listen, at the end of the day, I think Benoit's going to be back, and I think he's going to he'll get a matchup probably somewhere in that top 10-ish area, because I think he's worth it. I think he could fight a Dariush, and I think he probably beat the shit out of him. I think Gamrot. I think it would be a great fight if those two were to fight. I think Fiziev, like that. All those kind of guys I think would be great fights. I mean, Moicano and Turner are fighting at 300, which is pretty wild that just kind of got made out of nowhere. But
I love that.
It's awesome. It's an awesome fight. But excuse me. Listen, Dustin Poirier though. On the to reverse this, they're already talking about him fighting Islam in June. I think is what the date that our leader, His Excellency Islam Makhachev has set for his return. Listen, that fight. And I can't express this enough, Ty, does nothing for me at all. At all. I don't think there's any chance Dustin Poirier wins that fight, whatsoever. No, I think it's going to be done within the first 2 rounds. I think probably submission, and I think that's it, really. He's not going to finish the guillotine, so,
That's never happened.
If he couldn't finish that guillotine to begin the fight against Benois, because they were dry, and he still couldn't finish it, then he's never going to finish one of them. So that's my thoughts on that. I think it's a waste of time, and I hope Gaethje goes out and finishes Max Holloway like I think he's going to, unscathed, and then they could run that, right? Which they won't, though, because Gaethje will need a full camp and whatnot. Gaethje was rooting for Poirier hard. I don't know if you saw that video as well.
He was.
He was going hard for his
so
man,
excited.
But
Also, 0 guillotines on the Dustin Poirier record. So maybe you should listen to Mike Brown and Mateusz Gamrot and stop jumping that. He almost lost that fight by doing that, funny enough. There's an alternate universe where Benoit gets on top of him in one of those points and doesn't get off him, but he was able to make it work, so good on him. He's kind of defying time. He's 35 years old, I think, 36, just turned 35, so still got a little bit left. Maybe even a lot. I know he's probably going to get knocked out once or twice more before his career ends, but the Diamond from Lafayette, Louisiana, has other plans until that comes. Maybe Gaethje, maybe it's always the top guys.
yeah,
Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Habib, that finish him, Connor, the one time way back in the
Michael
day. Even
Johnson.
back when he fought Korean Zombie back in the day.
throw that in.
That was a good
I don't like Dustin Poirier. Let me just say that I will still hold the beef over the Conor, drama. Jolie's wife. I will still hold on to that since I'm a Conor fanboy. But you have to respect Dustin Poirier. You're a moron if you don't. Because that guy represents everything that mixed martial arts is supposed to be.
Yeah, and he's just the fact that he's still here through all that.
Yeah.
I said he had no chance when this fight got made. I was like, dude, I'm taking the young gun to overthrow him, and it just backfired. But I mean, Benoit did look good early, but still, he couldn't get it done. And when you're at the top of the line, you get it done. So shout out to the Diamond.
Ty, it almost seemed like Benoit, like you said, knew that he kind of had to get him out of there and panicked and kind of was just like trying to rush the finish. And even when he didn't have the neck, was squeezing for that neck crank and just desperately trying to get him out of there. And as opposed to maybe, fighting a little bit more soundly and smartly, because I think he was having his way with him on the ground. I don't know. I would love to see that fight happen again, but it's not going to. But it was just, I don't. It's very rare that I feel like, if it happens again, I'm like, maybe we could get the upper hand this next time. Who knows? I'm just not out on Benoit yet. We're going to talk about some guys who we are, have been big supporters of on this podcast, who we are out on, but I don't think Benoit is one of those guys. So.
Not yet. No, he has a bright future for sure.
I agree. So how about Michael
You
Venom
are
Page?
now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.